Hi everybody, welcome to how to make a pinch pot. I wanted to make a short little video that talks about the process of taking this little piece of clay and transforming it into a pinch pot. I've weighed this out. This is about half of a pound. It is some red clay that I've been using at my house to work with lately, and I'm going to walk you through these steps. It's not very difficult, but I'm going to kind of take these steps and move them out of the way and bring them back as I'm working. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to go over the first couple. The big one is we're going to start with a half a pound of clay. Now, if you're going to work with a bigger pinch pot, you're going to see that this isn't maybe about half the size of my fist or 2/3 of the size of my fist. It's going to make a pretty big pinch pot. I'm going to round this off, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about why I'm going to hold it in my dominant hand and why I'm going to push my non-dominant hand into my clay. So let's do those steps and then we'll come back. So I'm going to take my cupped hand and I'm going to do this with both hands. So they're cupped. If I hit it with a flat hand, the clay is going to go flat. So cupped hands, move it around. Imagine you're making meatballs, you're making snowballs. If you want this to be circular, and the reason why we want it to be circular is it's much easier if we have something that's close to a symmetrical sphere as possible. So like I said, I'm going to hold this in my dominant hand. And remember, you can always stop and pause this, but I want to be quick. You can always come back and revisit something, but I want to be efficient with my time. So I'm right-handed. This is my right hand. And this is my left hand. So I'm going to take my thumb from my left hand. I'm going to push it about 2/3 of the way through. It's probably right about there. And then what I'm going to do is there's two motions that occur at the same time. So I'm going to set this down and I'll bring this back. Now my dominant hand, like I said, is my right hand. That's going to rotate the clay. My left hand is going to pinch the clay. And we'll come back to this. This is an important thing to know, but let's try that. And maybe a big thing is we're going to jump down here. We're going to go ahead and start at the bottom. Now that's a really good question. Why am I going to start at the bottom? So we'll start pinching and we'll see where this goes. So if I start at the top, and again, I'm moving the clay with my dominant hand because that's usually where I have the most flexibility. Eventually, this is going to get so tall that it runs into here and I can't get to the bottom. So I want to start at the bottom and I want to work my way to the top. I need to start at the bottom or else this will get in the way. I can't get my hand deep enough. I can't have pressure from the inside and the outside. So we're getting there. Now one thing you notice is I'm spinning this. If I stay in one spot for too long, I have to rotate this hand where that hand will do all the work. It'll bring it to my left hand that can continue to pinch it. Now, once I get to trying to shape this, and we came up with some drawings the other day, and we may want it to go out. And if we want it to go out like this illustration, I'm going to put my thumb on the inside, pushing it out. My thumb, that's who's providing orders here. If my thumb is on the outside, it's going to bring the clay to it. This can bring the clay back in. And some of you might start to see, well, what happens if I can involve two hands and I can kind of pinch it together? It will start to look a little bit more spherish. So we always want to work. I'm just going to slide this over and I can pinch on this side. And I always want to work where I'm spinning the clay and I'm working in a circular motion and I'm paying really close attention until my clay is pretty even all the way throughout. If I notice there's some areas that are a little bit thicker, I'm going to go back and thin those areas out. But this is probably one of those shapes that is a foundational shape. These early pots had rounded bottoms so they fit in the hand really well. They didn't sit on the table like regular coffee cups because people sat around fires and they ate their food in their hands. They didn't sit at tables with silverware. So these early pots were meant to go in the hand. Now I'm going to cut this in half because I want to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to use another tool called a wire tool. This is my wire tool. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this right in half. I like to cut pots in half because it shows me what the inside looks like. So I have these two slices here, and they're about that thick. Now I probably could have gone a little bit thicker or a little bit thinner here, but I just happen to have this pencil here, and that's about 1/4 inch. So I'm pretty close. I just don't want it to be super thick. A super thick pot is actually going to be not quite as strong as something that's been compressed. So this is ready for some additions. Now I mentioned that normally whenever we join things together we would slip and score, but I'm going to save that for right now and we'll share that another day. But I just wanted to talk about making a pinch pot today, and I think we're all done. Thank you very much.